What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 33 of Bettin N Boozin on the HHH Racing Podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Roscoe, and what an unbelievable card we are covering for you guys today. Friday at Saratoga, including one Grade 2 and one Grade 3, the Saratoga Oaks Invitational and the Grade 2 Hall of Fame Stakes. It should be a great card as long as we can sit here and pray the rain away. But hopefully, so we're going to be handicapping this card with the turf in mind, although we will touch on the also eligibles. It is something that is necessary when they're predicting 80% chance of rain on Friday and 50% chance of rain in the PM on Thursday. Should be after the races on Thursday. Tomorrow shouldn't be concerned, but Friday, sadly, it is on the books. But guys, like I said, we're going to cover everything for you guys this week with all the festivities coming up with Whitney Week, as I'm still here in Wisconsin, but in probably about an hour's time, once this podcast is over, I'm driving home and immediately going to bed, hopefully, and getting on a flight tomorrow morning to fly to Saratoga. Again, if any of you are out there, please feel free to say hi. Myself, everyone on the podcast will be there all weekend except for Charlie Freeman. So if you see any of us out there, please do say hi. We would love to meet every single one of you guys. But for those of you that are new here or aren't new here but aren't subscribed yet, I'm not sure why you're subscribed. You're already coming back for the videos anyway. Please go down below the video player, hit the like button, and hit subscribe. We're gaining a lot more subscribers and a lot more support recently with the start of Saratoga. So to that, we really thank you, and we are very appreciative. But it's always not enough. So please go down there and smash that subscribe button. We would really appreciate it. Again, as you can see scrolling on the bottom of the screen, our next show is tomorrow for the flagship show. It might be taped, so be on the lookout. It might not be live, but hit that notification bell down below next to the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any uploads that we have. But it will be covering the Whitney Saturday Late Pick 5 at Saratoga. Trust me, guys, you won't want to miss that, highlighting horses like Cody's Wish. And I'm so excited to get to see that horse run again. This will be the third time I get to see this horse run in person. And every time he just gets better and better. And with him trying the longer distance for the first time, should be a hell of a matchup. But guys, if you're more of an audio listener and you prefer, although I would highly recommend coming to our YouTube channel, as you get all the visuals, all the PPs all the time. But if you're more of an audio listener, whether you're at the gym, at work, whatever, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor is where we post every single show that pops up on the HHH Racing Podcast YouTube channel, whether it's Bettin N Boozin, the flagship show, or anything in between. Again, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Anchor. The Power Picks, guys, $15.99 a month, only $4 a weekend. You get 2 tracks, full grids, full grids, price plays, everything above. We have an over 2.34 ROI. If you don't know, anything over $2 is a profit. If you aren't subscribed yet, you are missing out for the very cheap price of $4 a weekend. Again, patreon.com/HHH Racing Podcast. It is also in the description below. And again, we also have Saratoga only Power Picks. Sadly, actually, if you subscribe through our website, it's through PayPal. You'll send money directly to Howard. It'll put you on the list and send you out all the necessary tools you'll need. But you can also buy this weekend still. You have to get there very quick by tonight, or go by tomorrow. By next week, next Thursday, you guys can subscribe for the next week. And we do it every single weekend for Saratoga. It's $14.99 if you're a current normal Power Pick subscriber, and $19.99 for 3 cards. That only comes out to about $7 a card if you're a non-Power Pick subscriber. Would highly, highly recommend it. And again, for everything about us, about the Power Picks, anything like that, HHHRacingPodcast.com. The link is also in the description below. Guys, we're not going to waste any more of your time here. I'm going to go over some comments real quick as soon as I bring up my co-hosts. And one of them is subbing out, but of course we have our great stand-in that you all know and love but first from the East Coast, New Jersey, who I will see in less than 24 hours, Patrick Kunsel. And from the West Coast, our brilliant new co-host of the podcast, Noah Maher. Boys, what's going on?
Excited to get up to Saratoga.
How we doing, fellas?
You're telling me, Patrick. I even got Saratoga. I got the Saratoga Springs hat on, dude. I'm all go for Saratoga right now. I cannot wait to be a part of it. But guys, like I said, we're gonna go over the chat real quick, and then we're gonna get into it. pretty quickly here because we cannot waste any more time. I don't want to be driving, frankly, at 12:30. So we'll try and get her going here real quick. Katie is here. Katie, thanks so much for joining the show. Richard Avalar's here. I'm doing great, Richard. Thanks so much for doing the show, man. Happy Whitney week to you as well. 1 to 2 is the price that was drawn for Cody's Wish. We drew the outside 6 post in a 6-horse field in the Whitney, which I really like that he drew the outside, but obviously I'll leave that to the boys tomorrow to cover the Whitney card. Steven Vanderbrook's here. Smash the like button. Absolutely. If you guys have not yet, please smash that like button. It really helps us out. Terry Frank is here. Thank you so much. Me and Patrick will it's not Patrick's first time. It's my first time to Saratoga. I will gladly, definitely enjoy it. And I'll post everything on Twitter every single day. It'll be a ton of fun. Derek Poirier is here. I will be at the track tomorrow and Friday, so looking forward. Hey, you don't have to buy me a beverage, Derek, but I greatly appreciate it. We're going to have a ton of fun. I can't wait to meet all of you guys. I met a few of you at Horseshoe Indy when I went out there, but this is shaping up to be a much bigger outing than Horseshoe Indianapolis. So Derek and to all the other ones, I cannot wait to meet you guys there. And Richard Avalar says, my elite power had to dig down to beat your Gunna. He was my only single. It was a birthday present to Beaumont. And Richard, don't even bring up last week, man. Between Gunnite and then who else? Why can't I think of his name?
Jim Dandy.
Yeah. Why can't I think of his name?
Angel of Empire.
Saudi Crown getting nosed out by Forte. Just a whole week of necks and noses for me. It was hopefully that I got all the bad luck out last week and we can only hit it hard this weekend at Saratoga. Jim Pillars is here. Bettin and Snoozin is actually really good, Jim. I really like that. Sadly, there's no Bettin and Snoozin tonight as he is not here. That boss is here. What's up, boys? Made a great run at the pick 6 today. Absolutely going to be epic this weekend. We all had a piece of that pick 6. Just couldn't get home in the last leg when that 10-1 came home. Simon O'Neill is here, my friend. Thanks so much for joining from across the pond in the UK. And talk about you want to talk about horses in the UK and Ireland. Paddington was another horse that ran today and absolutely ran the lights out of that field in a really hard-fought victory. But he is going to be a monster. Would love to see if he can come over for the Breeders' Cup, although I think it's highly unlikely. But guys, we are going to get into the pick 5 right now. We're not going to waste any more of your time as we move into the weekend. The start of the pick 5 on Friday starts with a grade 3, guys. It is going to be an absolutely great start to your pick 5. And even if it does rain, they most likely will keep these races on the turf, which is something to keep in mind. But it is a beautiful field of 11, most likely 10. The number 10, Aspen Grove, on Twitter. If you didn't see, David Grenning tweeted, Aspen Grove, winner of the Belmont Oaks, is expected to scratch from Friday's Saratoga Oaks to run in the Saturday Saratoga Derby. So that is something that came out on Twitter. Keep an eye out for the 10, Aspen Grove, who won the Belmont Oaks last time out, most likely to scratch and run on Saturday. But that still leaves us with a great field of 10, guys. And I'm bringing up the picks right now. And you'll see I have the 10 in there in second. But if she doesn't run, I will insert the 2 in there anyway. Patrick and I have the same top pick. We're going with the number 3, Elusive Princess, who actually ends up being the morning line favorite, which I was a little bit interested in that she gets the call for the morning line favorite, although I can definitely see it. And Noah being the odd man out, going with what doesn't look like the American the American home, but it is the American home team. What did you like most about Selenia with Irad up and down the training?
Yeah, so this 9 horse, I'm thinking that race last time was definitely a bit more visually impressive rather than on paper. She got a decent 86. She made a strong little move and kind of sustained that bid. And then at the 16th pole, Joe Bravo kind of wrapped her up. So I think she had a little more in the tank. Although that field didn't necessarily seem all that strong, you got Irad hopping on. And Jonathan Thomas has had a couple horses run at Del Mar in the summer meet. So the fact that he does ship back up to New York, I feel like he's got a lot of confidence in this filly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. As I have this horse in third, Patrick doesn't have her anywhere. But Selenia, I think, is extremely interesting. I agree with you. I think the last race is more visually impressive than anything. Although I'm not sure who she beat that day, but she seems to get a good trip in this spot. She's going to be tactical. put in on the outside of the 9-hole, and IRADS is going to most likely get a beautiful trip. Whether she's good enough is definitely the question, but I think there's a lot of upside to this filly. And if she has any type of improvement off of that last race at Santa Anita, shipping, like you said, out to New York this time, I think she's very interesting for a low 90s buyer, which could be good enough to win in this spot. Patrick, you and I have the number 3 in first. It is Elusive Princess for Jean-Philippe Dubois and Flavian Pratt, who picks up the mount. Second in a Group 1 at Longchamp in May. I mean, and really bet down in that spot too. There's a lot of things to like about this filly, including the high figures.
Yeah, and that's the thing with them coming across the pond. I like to look if the horse was bet, and situations like that, what group of a race this was in, and like you hit on, this horse has been bet in these races, which is a telltale sign to me that this horse is a good one. And in a race where you have the horses that are coming out of big races, but some are just wins that are they that impressive against a horse like Elusive Princess, who I think could be a good one in a spot where, how much speed is there in this race? The horse has shown to have some sort of speed, and Pratt picks up the mount, which is always interesting. When he had other options.
Oh, absolutely, he had other options, and the fact that actually J. Foxwoods has the majority piece of this horse, which I thought was also very interesting. I mean, look. She ran in Diane last time. She was 5th, but I mean, that's one of the premier races in the summer meet at Longchamp. So I'm very interested in this filly coming over to the States. I know she doesn't have a work, which is one of the things that people like to dismiss about fillies like this, but that 103 time form rating usually take about 15 points off to the buyer figure. That's an 88 buyer. If she shows any improvement over here in the States, a low 90s, like I said before, is definitely good enough to win this race in this spot. But there are other fillies that can be in the mix. And Noah, you have Jagira in third. Patrick, you have her in second. Patrick, I'll let you finish off here with your 2, and then Noah, I'll let you add on anything that he missed.
Yeah, so Jagira, a horse that's been bet in the past 2 starts and has shown up in 1 and beat a Heavenly Sunday, who won the Edgewood a while back. But I just, if this, you got to watch the board with this horse, because if this horse is being bet, it's a telltale sign that she's going to run big. And big fan of Phil Bauer. Leparoux, he's been quiet, but when he picks up a mount on the turf, you always have to be interested. So I think Zagira might surprise, and it could be a price, but definitely watch the board. And then Papa Leo from Mark Cassie and Castellano. This horse is going to make a run late. Depending on how the pace sets up for him. Cassie's always under the radar. What'd you say?
Heard, take a drink.
Oh yeah, Cassie's always under the radar in these types of races, so we'll see. But I think at a square price, this horse could come up big too.
Yeah, a lot of these American fillies, a lot of them have to improve numbers wise. Like a low mid 80s is what a lot of these fillies are running right now, and they don't seem to be improving. Like Papilio has, which is one of Howard's daughters, as they call it, out of Star Spangled Banner, which is a great horse that I always make fun of because Star Spangled Banner, but Australia, that was a horse I raced in Australia. She ran really well in these previous races, especially in the Appalachian where she won, beating Cairo Consort and Heavenly Sunday. I just don't know if she's necessarily has the kick to be able to improve. She kind of like mellows out at that 84 range, which in my opinion, it's just not what I really want in this spot. I'd rather have a horse that has a little more upside, but which is kind of what I'm thinking about Jagira, although she does seem really slow on paper, Noah.
Yeah, with Shigeru, the concern for me was definitely she hasn't quite gone the mile in 3/16. The thing that kind of put her in third was the fact that she has run well at Saratoga, and last time she did prove that she could win on a good surface, which we might have on Friday.
Yeah, and I do think she has no problem to deal with the wet. Like I said, I just think she might be a little slow on paper. She's a very nice filly out of a monster and Arlington legend, the Dam's Black Tie Affair affiliated, which I always love to see. But like I said, she's going to be tactical, which is another thing I really like. It's just a matter of I don't know if she's good enough in this spot. And the last horse I want to talk about real quick is the number 10, Aspen Grove. She does draw into this spot. She does look a little slow on paper, although that was first off the ship. I think the distance is absolutely no problem, which is actually really interesting out of a Justify filly, but I think with Ocean Murphy riding this horse, especially the way he did last time they ran into a 50 and 2 half mile, which is extremely slow, even for the 1.25 mile distance. If she has any type of pace in front of her, I think she could be extremely interesting. And even if she draws into the Saratoga Derby Saturday, I think she is extremely interesting in that spot as well. But I'm going 3-2-9. Patrick's going 3-4-7, and Noah's going 9-3-4. Guys, switching over the PPs, going to race number 8, which happens to be the Hall of Fame stakes as we go into straight into grade 3, then grade 2 to start this pick 5. I'm trying to find it here. Equibase thinks it's funny to refresh on me. But it draws a full field of 10 into the National Museum of Racing Hall of Fame stakes is the full name for it, with the morning line favorite being a pretty lukewarm favorite in the number 7, Nazarok for Manny Franco and Motion, with second choice being number 1, More Than Looks for Cherie DeVoe on the inside, and then all the way to the outside for the 92 third choice, Carl Spackler. Still love that horse for his Caddyshack reference. But switching over the picks right now, you'll see 2 of us are going with the number 10, Carl Spackler, and there is 1 to the inside going with the morning line favorite, the number 7, Nazarok. Patrick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, listen, Nagarok got caught in a tough duel with Talk of the Nation in the Manila. I think got the worst of it. And that was the race that More Than Looks ended up winning. Horse has been working tremendously as of late, reading the workout reports and stuff like that. And I just expect to bounce back. Graham Motion has always talked about this horse and like Nagarok. Little Red Feather Racing and Matikit, you hear them in interviews and stuff like that talk about the horse, especially when it won a Pimlico on the undercard of the Preakness. I've just been a big fan of Nagarok, and I think in this race, man, people are going to say, Pratt comes off. Yeah, you can make the case, but I think Manny will do just fine with Nagarok in this spot. And it's more of I look to other horses. More Than Looks, who I have in second, got a perfect trip in that last race. Can easily win if it sets up again, but it's just one of those spots where the horse just had took advantage of what was offered. So. And then Carl Spackler, who, I wanted to put there, but that outside post just kills me. So I'll let you guys talk about Carl Spackler and why you like him, but the outside post kills me.
I get it. Noah, the floor is yours first, my friend. Carl Spackler absolutely working bullet after bullet after bullet on the Oklahoma track. Chad Brown has him geared up for the spot, and I think I won't give away my stuff too early. But what'd you like about Carl Spackler?
Yeah, you're definitely right. He has been working like a monster on that Saratoga turf. In that last race, he was favored against an ultra tough field and then American turf down at Churchill. But I'm kind of going on a limb, and I feel like you have to expect a similar performance to those ones down in South Florida. And you get Tyler G, who's been pretty hot.
Yeah, especially lately, right, where he's gotten 3 wins on the card early last week, and now he's got he's picking up steam. As they say, this American turf, guys, is just one of those races that, speaking of Otago, shout out, by the way, love my big man, but Webslinger, Farbridge, Major Dune, Mostache, Behind Enemy Lines, Carl Spackler, Mendelssohn's March, just to name a few horses, which end up being the top younger horses in the turf division. This race was just absolutely live. And not to mention Carl Spackler, Matthew Tremere has taken the words out of my mouth, but he did get a ridiculous trip in the America turf, got stuck inside and just kind of he was always in between, never really got comfortable. Matt says that he got a little bit sick, which would signify why we haven't seen him since May. But the bullets make me think that he's completely fresh, as Matthew touched on as well. Chad Brown brings him back into this grade 2 spot where he didn't think, one, if he wasn't good enough, he wouldn't put him here, and two, if he wasn't ready, he wouldn't put him here. I think Carl Spackerl is extremely interesting, and I'm just clasping my hands together and just praying that we get 9-2 on this horse, because if we do, yeah, he probably will be. But if we get third choice, I will be firing on this horse come Friday, as Patrick will be there to see it in person. My quote unquote firing. But as Patrick touched on, Noah, we actually have the same exact pitch. I'll let you touch on More Than Looks as well. Patrick already touched on him a little bit, but he did get a perfect trip, but did it very well last time.
Yeah, More Than Looks, he just keeps getting better and better. I think from that one hole, he's got a lot of potential to save ground and have a similar trip, just kind of make one run. And I just put him in second because I feel like anything close to that number gives him a real shot.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Beating horses like Talk of the Nation, who's a very nice turf, Colts with Nagarok coming behind him. I don't know if he'll be that far back, even though his PPs tend to signify that. He was off a little bit slow, but I think from the rail, Johnny V is just going to take back, be able to, as long as he gets some room to tip out to the outside and puts in a run. I think if this horse gets anywhere near the 94, I agree with you. No, I think this horse is extremely interesting in this spot. Not to mention the Manila was another race that looked very good on paper. Major Dude, obviously, who won the Penn Mile, third in the American Turf, second in the Jeff Ruby. Talk of the Nation, as I touched on, at multiple 90 buyers, and then Nagarok, who we touched about. Just another live field for More Than Looks, and if he continues to improve, definitely interesting in this spot. And Patrick, I'll let you finish off here. Appraise is the other Chad realistically in this spot. Flavian Pratt gets the call for this one after a very nice N1X win last time out.
Yeah, and that was the whole thing. That was a very impressive win last time out. Just feel like this horse is ready to improve again. Those typical connections of Chad and Klarovich stables, winning an allowance race and stepping right up in class and having the horse improve, again. So, it's going to be interesting to see where this horse is going to sit pace-wise, because there could be a lot. So we'll see. But we'll definitely learn a lot about how good this horse is early on in the race to see if this horse can show that it's improvements there.
I mean, absolutely. Obviously, Woodbine, I believe, is also a one-turn mile. Yeah. So, and the turf, because their turf course is absolutely massive. Belmont's a one. So this will be the horse's first time going around 2 turns. And we'll need to improve a little bit based on the figures alone. But Chad puts him up into this spot. Flavian gets the mount, who's basically Chad's second call now. So I think Appraise definitely has a lot of upside. It's just a matter of, can he get the 2 turns? So I don't disagree with you by any means, Patrick. I'm going 10-1-7. And Noah's also going 10-1-7, and Patrick is going 7-1-3. Guys, switching over to away, sadly, from the stakes races on the card, but moving into a very nice $95,000 N1X, going 7 furlongs on the dirt, draws another nice field of 9 in this spot. And this one still very lukewarm favorites is another thing that's a big thing in this sequence. Is we've had 2 7-2 favorites, and now we have a 3-1 favorite, in the number 3, Big Bean Christine for Dylan Davis, and a very good friend of the podcast, Ray Handel. As I switch over the picks right now, I was honestly expecting every single one of us to go with Big Bean Christine, but Patrick, my friend, went against the grain. Noah is with me on the number 3, but the number 6, Chasing Daylight, Flavian Pratt, Jorge Abreu, Patrick at a nice price of 8-1.
Yeah, I can't wait to get up there and, Ray Handel tell us that his 3 has a huge shot to win, and I just get burned. But no, Chasing Daylight, I really like the cut back in distance for this horse. Is going to have to improve. These buyers are not going to, 56, 55, and a 48 in the last 3 are not going to cut it for this horse. One on debut. It is a step up in class. There's no denying that. And the horse lost by 12 lengths last time out. But Into Happiness, who that was on who ended up winning actually on opening day, and that's the Mark Henning horse that came from deep. So I think this horse is going to improve for Jorge Abreu and Pratt. this field just had me looking other places, and I feel like just the cutback, which I always like to go back to, fits this horse and should benefit.
I agree with you. Being that this is a little bit of a cutback to 1 turn to the 7, I think this horse is much more suited for the 1 turn. It's just a matter, or a little bit short on the 1 turn. It's just a matter of there is a lot of other pace in this race, and if she doesn't get to the front, she really doesn't like to pass. I mean, you can argue she passed last race, but still lost by 12 1/4. So I usually like to look at that and just, and look at what Power just says in the chat here, Patrick. Already getting it. I saw Big Bean Christine in the handlebar today. The horse told me she's ready to run. Actually,
I like that she was sleeping.
Friday.
Bet against.
Yep. No, yeah, sleeping. Yeah, resting. Why would you rest for a big race on Friday? No, I'm just kidding. But look, Chasing Daylight, the one thing to like is the cutback for sure. And Noah, I'll turn it over to you because you also have this horse in third. But is that also part of your thinking for Chasing Daylight?
Yeah, it was simply a cutback angle. I think the cutback's going to be huge. The only problem would be she kind of faltered as the favorite in the last 2 starts, but she was facing Open Company, and today she's facing New York Reds.
That is true. That's another thing. You know, you look at it as a step up in class, right? From a 25 to a 40 claimer to an allowance 95, but it comes down to it. She's now facing State Bred Company, where she could fit a lot more and maybe shows a little bit of improvement. Howard says, smash the like button. Yeah, why are we only at 14 likes? Nope, 17 likes now, guys. Keep it coming, guys. That'll help. That really helps the podcast and push it out to a lot more people. So if you hit the like button, we'd greatly appreciate it. But Noah, you and I both have the number 3 on top. Patrick has Big Green Christine in third. That I really like that last race from her, being able to rate a little bit off the pace, which there seems to be a lot of in this space, and not blow by necessarily, but was able to grind them down.
Yeah, since being claimed by Ray Handel, Big Bean Christine has definitely become a much better animal with the 73 and the 75. I think those kind of stand out in this field. One thing to note is she is 0 for 5 on a fast dirt, but 3 for 11 on the win end and 9 for 11 in the money on the wet. So I'm kind of banking on the fact that there's going to be a little bit of moisture in that dirt.
Well, I'll tell you what, it would help her, right? But the other thing, Matthew brings it up also in the chat, is that her 3 lifetime wins came on off racetracks. The only thing for me, Matthew, is in this spot, it just seems like this spot came up really light for Big Bean Christine, just based figures alone and pace structure. I think she just sits a really nice trip in this spot, and if she's able to run that mid-70s buyer, I think that could be definitely good enough to win in this spot. I don't necessarily think there's many tough competitors in this field, but your point is completely taken, and I definitely took it into consideration as well. I would definitely have her on your ticket anyway, but definitely upgraded if it does come up with bad weather on Friday. But Patrick, I'll turn it over to you. We all have the same type of picks, but the number 7 is the only one we haven't talked about yet. Is Timely Conquest for Mark Hennig and John Velasquez. A really nice maiden win out, although the pace does seem to help her. If she gets out a little bit quicker, she could be pretty live here.
Yeah, that was a muddy track at Belmont. Watching that replay, the horse came from the clouds. Very fast pace. Hennig has been off to a very good start and winning with prices up at Saratoga. So this horse won at 22-1 on debut. Watch the board. The horse is 4-1 morning line. If they're going to bet this horse second time out, then this horse looks like could run a big race. But this is just a tough field, and this is one of those where I do believe you have to watch the board to see, who's getting bet.
Yeah, and it's a very odd race because there's, like Matt said, there's no world beaters. There's no horses that stand out necessarily. So I was really looking for horses with upside. Timely Conquest definitely fits that bill. No, I'm sure you thought the same exact thing, although the pace helped her out. I mean, coming off of a maiden state bred win at Belmont, now into a state bred allowance at Saratoga, they're pretty comparable in my eyes.
Yeah, after that pretty big performance, I feel like Hennig and his connections are probably looking for the track to come up a little bit money. But yeah, you guys definitely hit the nail on the head. She pretty much got a perfect setup last time. And yeah, Hennig doesn't necessarily crank his horses first time out, which is probably why she was almost 23-1.
Yeah, and at that point, I don't think Hennig was having a very good Belmont meet either. So the fact that he was able to have Timely Conquest ready to go, and now she has she has 2 works over the Saratoga track. Hennig looks like he's pointing to this N1X, and going 7 furlongs, just a little bit longer, I don't think hurts Timely Conquest at all. So I think if you're looking for upside in this field, the number 7 definitely fits the bill. And the only other one that we haven't talked about is Big Hazel, who I have in 3rd. This is another one that I kind of didn't know what to do with. She looks to be like somewhat of a factor of the early pace, but then there's other races like that 1 turn mile at Belmont where she was able to rate and beat horses at 18-1 like Ichiban. Ichiban came back. Granted, it ran a 62 at Saratoga going longer, but was able to win an N1X state bred, which is exactly what this is, just a different distance. So I think the turn back for Big Hazel definitely fits. Tried her out in 1 1/8 N1X last time out, although Donk is cold. Hopefully it turns around with Big Hazel. I think she's got a massive shot on the turn back and being able to rate a little bit off of a bunch of early speed in this spot. I'm going 3-7-8. Patrick's going 6-7-3, and Noah's going 3-7-6. Boys, we're cruising along here. We're all pretty around the same horses today, so we're actually
got to go to bed early. Got to get up.
I got to go, man. You know, that's the way it goes. I got to get my beauty sleep for tomorrow. But the next race, scrolling on Equibase because again, it continues to refresh me. Race number 10, it's claiming 35,000. Going 5.5 furlongs on the turf. Our favorite races, turf sprint claiming races. Draws actually a really full field of 11 with 3 MTOs. So the MTOs, this is the first race really with main track only, as the even if it does rain, the turf races the turf stakes most likely won't get taken off anyway. So this is the first race that we'll actually talk about the MTOs, and I know Noah's got some good opinions on them as well as I switch over the picks right now. And again, guys, we're all around the same type. Actually, we all have different horses on top, but we're all around the same.
Try box.
Yeah, try box. There you go. That's a great way to use your money. No, I'm kidding. But the morning line favorite is number 1, Detroit City off the drop for Jack Sisterson, Louis Size. Second choice is the number 6, Deep Cover for Tom Morley and Javier Castellano. And then there's 3 other horses at 6-1, being the 4, 9, and 11. And Noah, I'll go to you first here. The number 4, Foliage, with Tyler Gaffleone and Joe Sharp, is who you're going with in the spot.
Yeah, I didn't have a strong opinion in this race, but I kind of lean towards Foliage. Turf sprinting seems to be his specialty. I think the cutback from 1 mile to 5.5 will definitely benefit him stamina-wise. I do like the maintenance work over the Saratoga Turf Course on July 28th. And then a little side note for me, I kind of give a slight nod to the horses that have had a race over the current surface.
Yeah, I mean, which is something that, although this was at 1 mile earlier in this meet, but losing to My Sea Cottage, who came out and won and didn't win next time out, but ran really well. So I think Foliage for having Galileo breeding as well. Joe Sharp trains, finally got another winner. Hopefully he catches a little bit of fire with Foliage back, even off the drop down back to the claiming level at turf sprints, which I think he's definitely dangerous. I actually don't have the horse anywhere, but Foliage is definitely one to consider. No, Patrick, you have the morning line favorite on top. Number 1, Detroit City, Jack Sisterson, Louis Size, coming off of a big N1X at Keeneland where didn't do a whole lot of running, but ran against some really nice horses.
Yeah, ran against some really nice horses. And I honestly think looking at those previous 2 races has some excuses, the way the horse got out, a couple things that happened within the race. And I expect Sias in this spot to get this horse out of the gate and, don't hold back. If this horse wants to go. Louis is very good with that, tactics wise. If he's got a horse that he thinks can get out to the lead, he will do it. And I think in this spot on the rail, you have to do that. And I expect this horse to run back to its buyer speed figures of 79 and, upwards into the 80s and 90s.
My only thing with Detroit City, I have the horse in 2nd. First time gelded, coming off a big drop. I had to use this horse. But Detroit City, it almost seems like he was a lot better on synthetic, even though he ran that 86 at Santa Anita last year. I mean, his two highest buyers, 90 and 92, came running on the Gulfstream Park Tapeta sprinting. I think the very short distance of 5.5 is where this horse wants to be. And maybe they put him at 35 where he's most likely to win. But really hasn't shown anything since that last year at Santa Anita. And there's really only been those two numbers, one at Pimlico going 5 furlongs and one at Santa Anita going 6. So I think Detroit City is a must use in this spot, although I'd be wary at most likely who's going to be a pretty decent favorite coming off that big drop from Allowance Company. But I have the number 6 on top, who I'll let Noah go through and touch on anything we didn't touch on with the other two, and then Patrick, I'll let you finish up. All right, Patrick, I'll let you go first after me, and then Noah, because Noah wants to talk about I want him to talk about some of the MTOs. But I have the number 6 Deep Cover in first, coming off last time out, avoided claim, last time out, going 6 furlongs on the Belmont turf, getting third by 2 1/4 to Marathoner and Eddie the Great, who are decent New York horses. Just it comes down to it where I think this horse just has enough speed to be there, but doesn't necessarily need the lead. I think if he does get the lead on the outside, I think he does his best running there, but he's shown that he can rate before, especially last year at Saratoga. Second off the layoff is the thing that I really liked. Keeping him at the 35,000 level, I think he can definitely be very interesting just sitting off the speed. Patrick, I'll let you touch on any of the angles that I didn't touch on necessarily with the other two, but and then we'll move on to Noah.
Yeah, just a 6. Honestly, you did hit on it. The tactical speed with this horse, with Castellano and Morley, it is there. And this horse, can run a buyer speed figure in the 70s and could win this race. So I do understand what you're coming from with Deep Cover and how this horse could sit off the pace, even though it does show early speed.
Yeah, and that's from the 6th hole. I really like that he shows a little bit of tactical speed, especially in these claimers. I'd rather have horses towards the front, as a lot of them don't necessarily like to pass too much. So getting horses to jump out to the lead, especially in these shorter distance races, I definitely lean towards. But Noah, you're getting love in the chat. I'll go over real quick and I'll let you finish up here. He said, no, Racing Downwind says, nice run in the pick 6 at Del Mar. If you don't follow Noah on Twitter, he posted a pretty decent $71 pick 6 that came down, to the last leg, Noah? Or was it
I got knocked out in the 5th leg by JJ Hernandez and Peter Miller, which was probably a mistake. But I had a 9-1 as my top pick in the second race, and I was looking good for a while, but couldn't quite do it.
I mean, dude, it's deja vu, because that's exactly what we ended up having today at Saratoga. But you have, like I said, you have the same exact horses I do. Touch on anything you need to touch on with the horses we've covered, or move on to the MTOs, that I know you have some decent opinions.
Yeah, if the race does come off the turf, the 12 is definitely worth a look. Seems to be a must use if off the turf. Last race beat 2 next up winners at Keeneland and the first time gelding, and then a double voided claim, which is pretty interesting. Another one I looked at was the 7, who's actually entered in the turf, but has the most dirt experience and has run some decent numbers. Ran an 80, going 7 furlongs at Keeneland in the spring. And then the 14 I had as my kind of third pick for the race coming off the turf. Has run some decent numbers. I can't say I know much about Shane Myers, but he is firing at 19%, so worth a look.
Yeah, and he's more of an East Coast trainer, kind of like Thistledown area type of trainer. So he definitely wins nice out there. It's just the matter of all these MTOs. I would most likely lean towards 12, 14. But the MTOs obviously are always worth a look, especially if this race rains off the grass. But this is a really tough race, at least what I thought. Even though our picks are so similar, this is a race you definitely, in my opinion, would need to spread in, as I think you can go a little bit skinnier in some of the earlier races. But I'm going 6-1-5, Patrick's going 1-6-4, and Noah's going 4-1-6. Obviously, this is intended to. We have the picks intended to stay on the grass. But guys, the last race in this weekend is the 11th race on the card. It is a starter allowance 50,000, going 1 3/8 on the inner turf course. Draws another full field of 10 with 2 also eligibles and 2 MTOs in this spot. The MTOs are both for Linda Rice, which you definitely need to keep an eye on. Although, if you don't know, she started out the year extremely hot and now has been 0 for her last 14 or 15. I don't know the exact number, but she's been on a cold streak after her very hot start to the meet. But as I switch over the picks right now, this is finally one race where we are at least a little bit all over the place. Not necessarily. Patrick and I both have the number 9, Unleash the Power, on top, who ends up being the morning line favorite at 3-1. Then the second choice is the number 6, Shinsun, for Kendrick Carmouche and Barclay Tagg. And then the number 4, Forwardly, for Tyler Gaffleone and Chad Brown, comes out to be your third choice. Patrick and I are both going again with the number 9. Noah, you are going against the grain here with the number 3, Suerte, Manny Franco, Mike Maker, a beautiful 10-1 price on your top pick.
Yeah, it could be a chalk-eating weasel. I mean, I had to pick somebody. So, I actually liked Suerte. I was kind of surprised that he was actually 10-1. He was a favorite, part of a hot pace last time. I'm just kind of banking on the fact that Michael Maker tends to do really well when he gets these horses and he kind of stretches them out and gets them to go these long marathon turf races. I think he's got some upside, but at a price, I think he's going to be on the lead. Maybe he sticks around.
I mean, it definitely looks like the horse that's going to be near. There's not a whole lot of pace in this race. So being a horse that's going to send from the inside for Maker, taking him to this marathon distance, I think is extremely interesting. Michael Maker, off of like over 500 starts, he's 15% off the trainer switch from Owen Hardy, who, as you can see, the breeder for Godolphin. So this must have been a private sale of some kind coming off of that last Indy allowance. So I'm very interested also in the number 3, Suerte, especially if that price is anywhere near 10-1, although it wouldn't be on my top line. Patrick, you and I have the number 9 horse in first. Noah has the number 9 horse in second. Unleash the Power, Al Stahl, Louis Saez. The numbers fit. The pace scenario for the horse fits. And I think this horse is extremely interesting.
Yeah. The level of this race fits for this horse. This is the level this horse should be running at, I believe. Speed, this horse has it. It could be utilized in this spot with, like you said, Kyle, not much of it that we believe is there. The only thing that scares me is this horse just doesn't seem like the winner's circle of late. But it has the speed figures to show up in this spot and get a win. And is bet at this level has been bet as second or third choice. So I look for this horse to get a good trip on or near the lead and hopefully be a square price.
There's a few things I like about Unleash the Power. I like that Saez stays on. Saez is one of the most aggressive riders on the circuit, probably in the U.S. He rides his horses to the wire. I know this horse just seems like a second-nitis type of, doesn't like the winner's circle. I just don't think this race came up very strong. I said this before with a horse in the previous races, but I don't know with Big Bean Christine, actually. But I just don't know if this race really came up too strong. And I think this horse, Unleash the Power, has a tactical advantage and can use the speed from the outside to be able to just sit off the speed and hopefully go by and continue to go through the stretch without much resistance. And Al Stahl has a winner at the Saratoga meet, shipped him up here, has a race over the dirt. Pretty decent workout in 48 and 1. 41 and 1 would have been ridiculous. 48 and 1. But if he continues to improve or at least show a little bit of improvement off the 82, I think Unleash the Power is extremely interesting in this spot. Patrick, I'll let you touch on your second place horse, who I have in third, and then finish off with the number 4, who you have in third, and so does Noah. But Shinsun, Barclay Tagg, Kendrick Carmouche seems to not have too much early speed, but always usually shows his late pace and come running.
And that's exactly why I have this horse underneath in second. This horse, if you watch some of these replays, just the horse seems like the race is started, in the final stretch, to be quite honest, and the horse just runs on. And, I feel like in this type of race, at this distance, could fit this horse well. It might be, pace might be a factor, but Shinsun should benefit from this distance.
That's kind of my thing. That's why I have him in third. Is I don't know if there's necessarily much pace in the race, although he has come running in 50-3 last year at Saratoga. So it doesn't seem like the pace necessarily hinders him too much, but I don't know if I'd be able to trust a horse like this coming from the clouds on a win end where I don't see much pace in the race necessarily at all. But I do have the horse in third and think the horse is extremely interesting. But before we let you go on to the 4, Noah, Pete Visco, shout out to you, my friend, co-host on the flagship show, the HHH Racing Podcast on Thursdays, dropping in late. We'll get to see him tomorrow. Again, just everyone from the podcast family is going to be at Saratoga, and it's going to be an absolute blast. So, Pete, look forward to seeing you tomorrow. The number 4 forwardly for Chad and Gaffley, you both have in third. Patrick, I'll let you touch on a little bit, and then Noah will go to you to finish up here.
Yeah, listen, the horse was off a long layoff after running on the 1st of July at Belmont in that spot, and it came out of the same race as Shinsun. The horse didn't really show much, but, I'm kind of going off the angle of Chad second off the layoff, which he's clicking at over 30%, in a spot where, Tyler can be, he could, the horse has shown speed, has it won with showing speed? No. But in a distance of this type, I think, being on the front end might not be the worst thing in the world when there's not much speed to show for it.
No, and forwardly, no, I'll let you touch on a little bit, but I think forwardly is the most fit for the distance in this spot. You can see Beck broke her maiden going 1 mile and 3/8 at Belmont.
Yeah, I was just going to touch on some of his later races. He faced some really nice horses in the later parts of 2022, and was certainly bet like a contender.
Yeah.
And just like Patrick said, with these connections, second off layoff, I have to expect an improvement.
Well, absolutely. Obviously Chad is picking spots for this horse. Second off the layoff gives forwardly a month, but the figures do look pretty slow except for that main win a year ago. But if he can show improvement 2 off the layoff at 4, I think forwardly is extremely interesting. I just didn't like that he was going to take a lot of money with Chad and then just look slow on paper, but could definitely be a factor. And you don't ever want to lose to Chad on your ticket. The last horse I have is the number 10, Jaro for Mike Maker, Irad Ortiz. I have this horse in second. I just like those races back in the early part of 2023 and the late part of 2022. I know one was at Kentucky Downs, but going 1.5 miles at Saratoga to 1 mile and 3/8 at Churchill, this horse just seems like Jaro really appreciates the distance. And although he hasn't won too much, he's only 2 for 24. I think this horse definitely could be in the money and will be behind a horse like the number 9, Unleash the Power in this spot, but could sit a pretty decent trip from the outside and might be able to use the tactical speed he has to be able to close up and range up. And the horse is working extremely well, shipping up from Keeneland for this spot, but hasn't worked out since June 24th, where he ran a bullet at Keeneland. But I'm going 9-10-6. Patrick's going 9-6-4. Noah's going 3-9-4 in this spot. If it stays on the turf, the 2 MTOs in this spot are South Street for Linda Rice and Jose Lascano, and the number 14 Chileno for Linda Rice and Jose Ortiz. The number 14 looks a little slow on paper, although running third in the Iowa Derby behind 8 Life Grand and Connor was really, rattle and roll. You see in the St. Louis Derby, this horse is extremely well meant for Steve Asmussen. Last year puts him in a non-winners of 2 lifetime and doesn't really run. Has not shown anything as of late. The horse is 1 for 17, puts the blinkers on. Hopefully that will be able to help him out. But both these MTOs are extremely interesting if it ends up raining off the turf. But guys, we're going to go into our best bets here. We're making great time. The boss is going to be very happy with us, I'm sure. But we're up to 51 minutes here. Thank you all so much for joining in tonight. I know it's a pretty quick show, and maybe a lot of you guys haven't looked at the card yet, but thank you all for joining in. Greatly appreciate it. But moving on to our best bets here. Patrick, I'm going to let you go first. Race number 8, your best bet is a double 7 with 6-7. And then race number 10, win on number 1 Detroit City. And if you guys remember, last win Patrick gave out was the number 6 New York Thunder, winning by half the stretch at 5-1.
Yeah, that was pretty impressive. I wasn't expecting New York Thunder to run that well, but no.
Yeah, what do you mean? Of course you were. Of course you were. No. You knew that.
Yeah, exactly. In this spot, I really like Nagarok. I'm not sure what price Nagarok's going to be, so I didn't want to give out a win bet. But if that's a little bet there. If Nagarok's a good price, I'd bet that horse to win. And then so I pair him up in doubles with Chasing Daylight, who's going to be a price, and Timely Conquest in the 9th race. I like both those horses, and with Chasing Daylight going to be at probably 8-1 or higher, I figured I'd add Timely Conquest, who should be a lower price and has a shot at winning. And then in race 10, I'm going to go with the 1 Detroit City. I talked about Sias gets that mount, and I think that horse is going to be on the lead in the turf sprint. I'll take my chances, and I know the horse is the morning line favorite at 3-1, but in that race, who knows who's going to go off at what price?
Yeah, I mean, no matter where you look in that race, you're going to get value, right? So I love that your best bet is a win in a race like that, where no matter who you pick, you'll be able to get value. So again, race number 8, Patrick's best bet is a double 7, who is Nagarok, with 6-7 in the next leg, and race number 10, a win on the number 1 Detroit City. Noah, to your best bets for the what the heck just happened on the Friday card? That was weird. Noah's best bets are race number 7, a win on the number 9, Solania, something like that. I don't know. I'm going to get a pitchforks in the comments. Solania in race number 7, and then in race 11, exact is 3 with 4-9, hammering that 10-1 home. Noah, I love it.
Yeah, so in race 7, just going straight win bet with, I think it's Selenaya. I think she still had some left in the tank in that last race, and I think Thomas has got some confidence in this filly. And then we'll go to race 11. If the 3 takes them around the track, great. I think either the 4 Forwardly or the 9 Unleash the Power, and even this, I might throw in the 6 Shinsun. If either one of them end up passing that horse late, I could still cash for a decent favorite over 8-1.
I mean, absolutely, right? Anything paired up with that 10-1, if he goes off anywhere near there, is going to create value. So even if you have the favorites come underneath, the value is definitely created there. So good luck with your best bets, Noah, this weekend. My best bets, I am going with a win bet and a double as well. Race number 7, I'm going with a win on the number 3, Elusive Princess, the Euro coming over from France, with Flavian Pratt picking up the mount. The figures fit. The seem, and especially if it goes soft, I'm gonna love the Euros in that spot. And the number 3 Elusive Princess looks to be the best one coming over. So I'm gonna go win bet on number 3 Elusive Princess, and race number 8, I'm gonna go a double singling Carl Spackler, the number 10 in that spot, and going in race number 9 with number 3 Big Bean Christine and the number 7 Timely Conquest, as I think that if Carl Spackler shows the form that he showed before the American Turf after getting a pretty bad trip in between horses, I love that he draws the outside. Hopefully keeps Tyler's able to keep him in the clear and put in a really nice run home from the outside. And then in the next race, Big Bean Christine drawing into what looks like a pretty weak field in Timely Conquest with the upside in that spot. But there's one other horse. Did we talk about? Yeah, we did talk about it. Never mind. I want to talk about the 2 in that same race with Elusive Princess coming second to Augusta Rodin. But yeah, I do remember that we talked about her. But anyway, guys, like I said in the chat, thank you guys so much for joining in. This is probably our quickest show ever, realistically speaking. But like I said, the boss has been getting a little mad, so we've been trying to go a little bit quick for you. And I got to be on my way home because I hope to see all of you guys in the chat at Saratoga this weekend. It's going to be an absolute blast. And Patrick, I will see you in less than 24 hours. And Noah, I will see you in November for the Breeders' Cup, and I'm holding you to that.
Yep.
But Jim Polaris, great job, boys. Hope you guys all have a fantastic weekend. Thanks so much. Simon O'Neill, Absolutely, always, my friend. Thanks so much for being a great. Thanks for all the support, Katie. Thanks so much for all the support. All you guys that are regulars and all you guys that are new, thank you guys so much for all the support you guys show us, because it really means a lot, especially to us younger guys on this show. For my co-hosts, Patrick Kunsel and Noah Maher, it has been your host, Kyle Roscoe, in episode number 33 of Bettin N Boozin here on the HHH Racing Podcast. Good luck this Friday and crush all your bets this Whitney weekend at Saratoga. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good night.